Hey, what's up, guys? We're here. So right now, Bungie is once again the talk of the town in the gaming scene due to some recent announcements regarding their project Marathon, which is receiving a lot of mixed reviews right now. And unfortunately for them, they are also getting a lot of comparisons between this game and the dreaded Sony-backed Concord that failed in roughly 2 weeks. Now, this is a game described as a new sci-fi PvP extraction shooter that's coming to various consoles later this year. We have seen some official release dates, this being September of 2025, and also some gameplay footage that's been released from the alpha. Now, here is one of the various official gameplay reveal trailers that's been uploaded to YouTube. And again, the reactions to this have been very mixed, but we'll look at some of the footage in just a bit. But it's important to point out that the official gameplay reveal trailer was actually taken down by an official YouTube copyright strike, allegedly from WMG, which would be Warner Music Group. Now, there's only two real explanations for this. Number one, this is a very big mistake by Warner Music Group, or option number two, this is someone abusing the copyright system to take down this reveal trailer, and I say good luck to that individual because Bungie really doesn't mess around with this stuff, so yeah, they'd be in some deep water. However, because of all these various reveals, the reviews have been very mixed, and the first impressions have not been the best. So headlines like this don't do any favors for Bungie and Marathon. Bungie says no proximity chat for Marathon Revival in order to create a safe space for players. Now, that is one of those things that is a minor detail, but a very damaging one if not done properly. Using phrases like safe space or modern audience can give a very bad taste in the mouth of potential players because they recognize patterns. They see games that use these phrases that end up being woke garbage, or at the very least, not very entertaining products. So looking at the actual conversation, you can see this. When it comes to prox chat, I don't think we're against the experience of it, to be fair, explained director Joe Ziegler to PC Gamer following the game's full trailer reveal on April 2nd. I think the challenge is how to make sure we're creating a safe environment for players inside of that space. I don't think anyone really has a good solution to that yet, he added, because we're so dedicated to making sure that we're creating a safe space where we don't have players just flaming each other or doing terrible things to one another. I think we're not ready to invest in prox chat until we have a solution. And I will tell you when that solution's going to come, at least when it comes to the concerns of this director. Never. There's never going to be a perfect solution for proximity or any sort of voice chat in games. There's always going to be a level of toxicity, but again, seeing the phrase safe space used multiple times in a short span, that is not exactly a great sign for this game that clearly doesn't want anyone's fifis to be hurt in a voice chat. Also, if you want to play the alpha, these are these select questions you'll be asked. Here's this one in particular, saying which one most accurately describes you, with woman, man, non-binary, transgender, not listed or preferred to self-described, yada yada yada. Now, a lot of people are freaking out over this, once again saying, oh, we're seeing a usage of pronouns here for this game. That's a bunch of red flags. But I would say don't be too surprised. This is Bungie. They have leaned heavily into DEI and just virtue signaling. Generally, they're the type of company, the second a certain holiday or celebratory month for whatever minority group pops up, they're changing their profile picture on places like Twitter, and then the second it's over, they're changing it back. They've been doing this stuff for a very long time. Now, of course, people are also starting to look around at the team who's developing Marathon. These are the lead developers of Marathon. A lot of people are looking at this, especially with the inclusion of pronouns in their description here, and they're starting to see some writing on the walls. Also, you have this individual people have pointed out this is their Blue Sky account of a person who is, of course, a producer on Marathon, describe themselves first and foremost as gay AF, and also they have Black Lives Matters and trans rights in their bio, which you can believe whatever you want. You can espout whatever political beliefs you want. You can share whatever characteristics about yourself that you want. but I would probably say make a personal account instead of trying to do this on your work-related account that now is being tied to Bungie and Marathon as well. And people see, again, pattern recognition. People who constantly have a lot of political messaging and stuff like that in their bios tend to be attached to games that underperform. Now, for the trailer itself, I'll just let it play muted in the background for a little bit. You can see kind of what's going on here. They're really leaning heavily into, hey, we made Halo and Destiny. Trust us, this will be really good. But you can see from what we are shown here, it's nothing groundbreaking. This is not anything that I think is looking amazing or looking terrible as well. It's just pretty standard. And a lot of people are reacting to this very differently. Some people think this is a great step in the future here, but a lot of people are making the comparison I already pointed out earlier in this video to Concord. Of course, Concord is the Sony-backed failure that couldn't even make it 2 weeks in the industry before completely shutting down and refunding players. Concord has really established itself as a legend. Yeah, in many different ways. Of course, it's an infamous one, but they are now a comparison point. When a game is expected to bomb, especially in any sort of shooter sense, Concord is the anchor that everyone compares it to. Will this be the next Concord? Is this the next Concord 2.0? That's what we're hearing once again with this Marathon game releasing in September of this year. And you can see here, the comparisons are somewhat legitimate. Marathon has already come out and confirmed that it will be a premium title. It will not be a full-priced title. So, to make that very clear, it's not going to be free to play. It is not going to be a full $70 game, but it's likely going to be a $40 game, which of course is the same price of Concord, and the comments are just ripping this apart. You can see $40 for a game and $20 per skin, aka blue. 3 maps, boring loot, boring gameplay loop, games bust. Last time Sony went this route, the game died within the first month. So basically, this will be Concord 2. Got it. Premium title. You want to make it a dead on arrival. You can see, I'm just scrolling through the first ones that show up. They're not very positive. And the people who worked on Concord are very aware of these comparisons, and they're trying to help out Marathon in a very hilarious twist. So you can see from PC Gamer here, former Concord dev says, it was gut-wrenching to see our project fail, but urges players not to judge Marathon too soon. To call this game a failure before it's even out is wild to me. Well, people said the same about Concord, and guess what? It was a failure. That is something that is, well, again, pattern recognition. And this is the statement that they're quoting here. This was posted on Reddit by Mr. Spug, who is this former Firewalk Studios dev, and they say they've been a lurker for many years and rarely post, but what they're seeing happening to Marathon has made them break their silence. So, many players know about Concord and what happened with the project. Concord failed to inspire players, and the messages were heard loud and clear. It was gut-wrenching to see our project fail and to be the laughing stock of many online. I have learned that failure is what drives me to succeed. No one feels as bad as the people who put their time on the line, hoping it'll entertain the masses of gamers across the globe. I am not asking for pity or even sympathy because, after all, this is the name of the game. You win or lose. The margin for success is very thin. I took a chance and lost. And honestly, give credit where credit is due. I think this is a pretty self-aware post and one that is admitting defeat. They did not inspire players. They did not connect with players, and they're taking the L, and they're hoping Marathon doesn't suffer the same treatment from the public that they did. However, people are going to judge a book on its cover. That's the reality, and I think even this dev would agree with me. And right now, the cover of the book that is Marathon is very divisive. People are not really settled one way or another. A lot of people think it looks really bad. Some people think it looks like the greatest thing that's ever coming. So there are signs that things can be changed to make everyone happy. It's just the alpha, after all. There's time to change things. But also with Concord, is there a lesson actually learned? You can admit that you made mistakes, but are you going to improve upon them? Are you going to try to fix things? And Marathon's in a great position where they have the majority of the year to figure out what's best for everyone and maybe actually take in some of the criticisms that they're facing. Now, this article was shared by PC Gamer on Twitter, and it was hit with a response by Asmongold that would ratio them into the Shadow Realm, where he said, "Some games deserve to be aborted. Concord is the reason why I'm pro-choice. Marathon looks okay, but the characters look over-designed and are not visually appealing." And that is something people are pointing out. Here is an example of some of the most featured characters from the reveal trailers. And again, I don't think they look terrible, but I don't think they look great either. And they do smell of modern audience. They're androgynous, kind of boxy. They're over-detailed in ways that somehow make them feel less vibrant and less detailed. It's an amazing thing that they do. This is what happened with Concord, where they try to put so much brightness and color everywhere that somehow it actually looked bland. It looked the opposite of what they were trying to go for. And you can see many different examples of tweets like this that hopefully load. There we go. Where Asmongold has outright come out and just said what a lot of people are thinking. Let's give this a quick listen.
Pretty much every single circumstance, it's always a bad idea to make characters that are not conventionally attractive. Because this is, again, this is a shooter game, and shooter games are going to be primarily played by men. So if you're making a shooter game that's primarily made for men, then you should make sure that all of the female characters in the game are fuckable.
Now, a lot of people will screech and moan about that, but he's not wrong. It's just the harsh reality of making a shooter game, and really making any games. We looked at some of the polls that were made by the creator of Lords of the Fallen, where he asked, to the tune of 50,000 votes, what players want when it comes to character designs. Do they want appealing designs? Do they want appealing female designs and badass male designs? And guess what? The overwhelming vast majority of people want appealing designs. And that's both male and female gamers. You can't really win appealing to Twitter, who will try to convince you that nobody actually cares or people actually like some rougher looking designs. Yeah, that's a small minority. If you make appealing characters, guess what? You appeal to people who want those designs, and also you satisfy the people who don't care one way or another, and then you piss off the tiny 2% of people who don't like appealing designs for whatever reasons. I'm sure just for whatever agenda they have on social media. But making appealing designs, you're making like 98% of people happy right off the bat. So there's no reason not to do this. And to act also like women don't want attractive character designs, that's a load of BS. Do not believe anyone who says that they don't want attractive character designs either. That's complete lies. I think everyone knows that, if we're being honest. And of course, people are making comparisons between some active successes and Marathon. You can see a comparison with Marvel Rivals. I mean, what do you think is going to appeal to more people? Honestly, there's going to be clearly people who like what they're seeing here. But overall, if you're being a bit honest, even if you don't like the truth, which of these two sets of designs is going to appeal to more people? It's obvious. It really is just that obvious. But again, we see people trying to basically politicize this. Some people saying, wasn't a huge fan of Marathon when it was revealed, but now I'm its #1 fan because I can't stomach the thought of having an opinion adjacent to Asmongold's. These are the supposed free thinkers, by the way, who literally will switch their entire viewpoint of something just because they're afraid of aligning a singular opinion with Asmongold. And that's a wild and really mind-broken way to go about your life. And then you see some people trying really hard to gas up this game, saying Marathon is going to flop like Concord in quotes. Meanwhile, the art style, Hydrogen Bomb X Coughing Baby, referring to that meme. And honestly, again, I think these designs are better than Concord. I think there's no doubt about it at all. But you have to look at the grander scheme. You can't win by just beating Concord. Please understand this. You can't win by beating absolute mediocrity. You have to compete with the current market, and there's a lot of games out there right now that are doing well with very appealing designs that right now, based on what we're seeing so far from the alpha, are better than what we're seeing in Marathon. That's just the truth. And I think they could do better with these designs, and they could try just a little bit harder to appeal to a wider audience. But there's some good takeaways here. Apparently, the Marathon art director has responded to criticism of character design, saying everyone is entitled to their take. There is room for both and more, which is great because at this point, as the hotel Wi-Fi here struggles to look at this dude, this is embarrassing. They're trying their best here, but no cooking happening today. Everyone is entitled to their take. There's room for both and more, which is good. I like to see an art director that can say, well, maybe people have a point. They have something that's different than what we have, and there's room for both. Isn't that great? Instead of an art director, going out and saying, screw you, chuds, you're not welcome here. The typical stuff that we're used to at this point, the spurging out that we see from art directors and the threats we've seen when people dare to criticize anything they're doing. This is a refreshing look. Again, with Marathon, I'm not going to sit here and say that this game is a monumental failure, that this thing is dead on arrival. I think there's serious concerns that show that there's some comparison points to be made with failures like Concord, but they can overcome it with good gameplay and also having a little bit of an improvement to their designs and taking in some of the criticism they're facing. I think they can do something with this project. It's not exactly dead quite yet, but the red flags are certainly there. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.